What's going on, YouTube? Mr. Wheels here with another episode of Sports Talk and the final episode of the NHL season preview. I will put parts 1 through 4 in the description box. Please like this video and subscribe and show your support. If you're looking for, you're not going to see me talk about Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary in this video. You got to watch the first part, the one about the 7 Canadian teams. That's where you'll find me talking about those teams. So let's get started. Talking about the LA Kings. Jonathan Quick is probably one of the best goalies in the league, and he's been a big reason why he's been successful the last couple seasons. But I think he needs to stop being a distraction like he was last year in the playoffs. Stop whining, and he just needs to play. They've got some depth still. Even though they lost Jonathan Bernier to Toronto, Ben Scribbins is still a very capable backup, and he could be a starter if they needed him to be, if Quick gets injured. So there's no problems there. LA lost some players this season, Bernier being one of them, but they also lost Dustin Penner. He went back to Anaheim, and Rob Scuderi went back to Pittsburgh. But the Kings basically won the trade, I think, between Toronto and them, or with Toronto, because they sent Bernier and a draft pick to Toronto and got back Matt Fratton and Ben Scribbins, and the draft pick. So, Matt Fratton can fit into that second line with Richards and Carter if need be. He doesn't obviously have the size and the power forward style like Penner does, but he still gives them some offensive options. They also added Jeff Schultz, who I think might be on waivers now, but they also added Daniel Carcillo, which should give them some toughness and a guy that's willing to fight if need be. Now, the key to this team being successful is going to be the same as it has been in previous years. Obviously, Jonathan Quick needs to stand on his head, but they've got 2 top lines that would be first lines on any other team, and Kopitar, Brown, and Williams need to step up and be more consistent this season, and Justin Williams needs to be as consistent as he was in the playoffs. He's from my hometown of Cobourg, Ontario, and he needs to be clutch not only in the playoffs. He also needs to do it in the regular season and remain healthy. And I think one of the big strengths on the team is, like I said already, goaltending. But their second line of Richards, Carter, and probably Tyler Toffoli would be a first line on any other team. And they've got depth scoring in their bottom 6 forwards. They've got their defense. They have some young guys, but even though they're young, they're still very experienced with how much playoff experience LA has had in the last 2 seasons. So really the only weaknesses on LA is whether they can remain consistent, because that was an issue last year. But they also need to stay injury-free, because that really hurt them in the playoffs near the end of the playoff run last season. So they should be a playoff team, no problem. They'll probably be at the top of the Pacific Division. I don't see them being a wild card team or a bubble team at all. Moving on to the Anaheim Ducks, they have 2 very capable goaltenders in Victor Fass and Jonas Hiller. But Jonas Hiller's numbers from last season need to be better. He had, a 236 goals against average and a 913 save percentage. His GAA could be lower, and his save percentage needs to come up. That's bottom line. Victor Fass is probably going to be the number 1 goalie of the future, and if Jonas Hiller wants to keep his job, his numbers have to be better. It's as simple as that. Now, they really didn't have anybody leave the team, but the Ducks did add Uh, um, Radek Dvorak and Frisk. I want to say Tom Frisk. I don't know what his first name is. Or Fistrick. Todd Fistrick, I think is his name. I can't remember. Jakob Silverberg and Dustin Penner. And with Penner coming back, I would really say that's going to be key for the Ducks because it reunites Getzlaf, Penner, and Perry. And that's probably going to be their top line. Jakob Silverberg will definitely give them some scoring depth, and the other two guys will just provide, defensive depth. And Radek Dvorak is a veteran, so that will just help their team. Obviously, if the team's going to make the playoffs, Getzlaf, Perry, and Penner are going to have to rekindle their magic from 07 and just try to dominate the Pacific Division. Their strengths, obviously, they're another team in the Pacific Division that has a lot, like two top lines with a lot of scoring depth. And obviously their goaltending isn't really that big of a problem. But their weaknesses that I see is go out of their top six forwards and they don't have a lot of scoring depth in their bottom six. But their bottom six will provide a lot of grit and toughness, and they should still have a ton of offense. Their defense, it's also a problem because they have a lot of aging veterans, and I just don't see them having another long cup run in their future. That being said, I could see Anaheim being near the top of the division. And I don't see them in a wild card spot either, so they'll probably make the playoffs. It's just a matter of how far they'll go. I don't think they'll make it past the second round this year, like they did last year. Moving on to Phoenix. Now, unlike LA and Anaheim, I see Phoenix. It's not that they have goaltending problems. It's Mike Smith and Thomas Greiss, they're two good goaltenders, but they lack playoff experience, and I see that being a problem if Phoenix is going to compete for a playoff spot. Their goaltending in the playoffs is kind of like an unknown. They don't really have a lot of experience there. They do have some new additions, and I don't really know who's really left their team, but I do know that they picked up Mike Rivero. Tim Kennedy, I believe, is a new addition. Brandon Yip, I don't know whether he was there, like if he was a trade deadline addition to the team last season, because they've got him on the team now, and David Moss from Calgary. So there's definitely some new faces on Phoenix, but really where the team is going to need to be successful and their keys to making the playoffs would be Mike Rivero has to show that he's worth $20+ million over 4 seasons. I don't personally think he is. Last season in 48 games there was 3 players on the team that had 13 goals. It was Mike Rivero, but he wasn't on the team, Shane Doan, Antoine Vermette, and I think Michael Bacher or Martin Hanzal. Now, if they would have played a full 82-game season, you could say that that's 20+ goals out of all those guys. But that being said, I still think this team is going to struggle to score. I don't have any faith in their goaltending, and their defense, although they have some really good young prospects and their defense looks good and promising for future years, I don't really see this team competing for a playoff spot in the top 3 division spots. They will be a wild card team at best, and they probably would be on the bubble to make the playoffs. I think the Pacific Division is too deep for them to be a lock for the playoffs. Now, moving on to the San Jose Sharks. Obviously, when you look at their starting goalie, Antti Niemi, he's a great goaltender. There's really no questions with him there. He proved that he can play in the playoffs. They almost beat the LA Kings, and I'm sure a lot of people would say that they should have beat LA, but pretty much like always, San Jose chokes in the playoffs. But if they're going to be successful this season, then Antti Niemi needs to have similar numbers to last year, a 216 goals against average, and a 924 save percentage. That's freaking awesome numbers. And the season he had is proof of that. But I wonder if he can keep that up for a whole 82 game season. They have the San Jose. The only guy that I can think of that they really lost that will really mean anything is TJ Goliardi. I'm not sure where he went to or what team he went to, but they added Tyler Kennedy. So the keys to this team making the playoffs and being successful will be, as it has been in previous years, their top line is going to have to carry the team. That would be Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, and Logan Couture. They don't really have a lot of scoring depth besides their top line. They're going to have to win a lot of close games, and Antti Niemi is going to have to steal a number of games for them. The strengths to the team is obviously their goaltending, but they don't really have a backup. Obviously the Thornton line is the lifeblood of the team. Their defense is they're pretty solid. There's some veterans back there, but they've proven that they can be consistent, and age shouldn't be a factor with them. But like always with the San Jose Sharks, they get into the playoffs and they choke. So I don't think, given that they haven't really added much scoring depth, I don't think they're going to even, and considering that the Pacific Division is going to be probably the tightest division in the NHL in terms of how good it is, I could see San Jose possibly being a wild card team. They could be a lock for a wild card slot, but at the same token, they could probably not make the playoffs at all. And the window for them to be successful it's closing pretty quickly. So that will do it for the NHL season preview. I wanted to get it done before the start of the season tomorrow. I would encourage people to like this video. I know all of these videos are long, but if you make it to the end, or if you like what I have to say, or if you don't like what I have to say, either or, please comment, slap the like button, please subscribe, share this with all your friends, and I will see you again soon with some more sports videos.